Is TikTok just for 15-year-olds who have really good dance moves, or could it be the secret to a super profitable business that you might be missing out on?
If you've been thinking about putting in some short form content out there, or hesitant with walls up saying, I will never go on TikTok, this is the episode for you. Lindsay had a very similar story. She's going to walk you through what happened in her life and business when she leaned into something she was a little hesitant about.
Rainmaker family, please welcome our friend Lindsay.
On the show today, very excited. We have a special guest and friend. This is a I guess an encore, because you may have heard her in one of our episodes where we had her and her husband Bruce on. But today we have the pleasure of a solo episode with Lindsay Manziel. Welcome, Lindsay.
Hey guys, I'm so thrilled to be back with you. I think that's a good sign that you asked me to come back and share. It was such a joy to do it the first time. So I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Yeah. Now, the last conversation, if you guys missed that episode, go listen to it. It was about entrepreneurship, being raised by entrepreneurs, and raising a family in the entrepreneurship realm. But Lindsay's superpower, we didn't even really talk about in that last episode. We're like, Lindsay, you need to come back. And Lindsay's doing some training with our group, but we want to bring this to the podcast because what she really carries is a lot of breakthrough when it comes to short form content online, like getting your message out there. So that's what we'll be diving into. And if I just said that and you were like, oh no, am I going to have to go dance on TikTok now? We are going to hit that on this episode. I promise this is worth your time to lean into. Yeah. Whether you're a brand owner who's selling e-commerce products, whether you're information product seller online, whether you're a coach, a trainer, a business owner, like a small business owner of any type, this is going to be for you. So Lindsay, I feel like we should just go after the elephant in the room right away. Because when we started hearing people going, oh, you need to be on TikTok. TikTok is this gold mine. You have to be on TikTok. And it took like years of people saying that for us to finally go, okay, let's do it, And we jumped on TikTok. Chelsea's been our faithful TikToker and it's been pretty awesome. But there was that kind of dread of like, what are you sure? Like, are people really there? I don't know. And I know you had gone through the same kind of mental battle. So maybe we can dig into your story a little bit. How did you get into producing short form content? Did you have that wall come up of, oh no, I don't want to do this? And what has it turned into now?
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit in the first time I was on your podcast about how I consider myself a reluctant pioneer. And I've moved into a space in a season where I have become a resilient pioneer. But I find that there's this pattern when I approach something new of reluctancy. I like safe, I like measured, I like structured. And so it was the same with TikTok, guys, believe it or not. So I had started a video podcast because I knew from just the sheer research that video was dominating on social media. My husband and I, through our business and our ministry, what we do is we leverage the digital landscape to impact people. And so part of the way that I do that is through my video podcast. And so I was on YouTube and I was on Facebook and I was on Instagram, really spending all my time and effort on video, not stagnant like graphic or writing. As much as I love to write, I just turned my writing into video. That was my focus. And I was experiencing some success, reaching, my who, impacting people. And I had a friend of mine said, why aren't you on TikTok? And I was like, because I'm not a 15-year-old with dance moves. Like, that's what I thought TikTok was. Like, that's not who I'm trying to reach. That's not who I am. And he is someone who has actual experience in TikTok. Isn't it amazing how we make a lot of assumptions with something we've actually never experienced before? But that was my assumption. And then he was someone who had actually been on TikTok, and he said, actually, it's not just 15-year-olds. It's not just people doing dance moves. And he shared some really fascinating statistics with me. But really the where he pierced my heart is he said, you have told me that you're doing what you're doing because you want to reach people. You want to impact people. This is where the people are. There are so many people on TikTok and you're unwilling to go there to reach them. And so some of the stats, that he shared, which I'll share with you guys now, because you might, if you're listening and be like me and thought, well, it's just for 15-year-olds, doing dance moves. But last year in 2021, TikTok had more traffic than Google. It was the most downloaded app in 2021. There are 1.2 billion active users on TikTok. That's active users. So that's not just, someone's got an account and they go on and, once or twice. Every single month, there's 1.2 billion active users on TikTok.
Wow.
And a single session on TikTok, that's someone picking up their phone, opening the app, and spending time in a single session, is 52 minutes long, almost an hour for just a single session. And maybe there's more than one single, there's several single sessions in a day, right? Now, here's what's really fascinating. That is not just a bunch of teenagers. The fastest growing demographic right now on TikTok is 35 to 55-year-olds. And one of the top 10 categories is life advice, life hacks. So people are not going on there just to be entertained. They're going on there to learn. And so I thought, okay, I've got to get over myself, and this is all part of the journey, right? Because even with my video podcast, I was like, I'm going to do a podcast because that felt safe. I don't have to show my face. I can just share my voice and I can, share it with friends and maybe it will grow. But in my mind, in my head and my heart, it was just going to be this side project. But I realized that video was dominating on social media, again, where the people are. And if my heart is really to reach people and to impact people, I need to leverage what's working. And what was working was video. So I said, well, if I'm going to put all this time and effort into recording a podcast, I might as well turn the camera on. And therefore, I don't just have the audio, but I have the visual and I can put the videos on YouTube. And short form content we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But when I first started, as a communicator, I love to talk, right? So let's do a 30-minute talk. The problem is, especially people are getting to know me for the first time, they're not willing to give me a half an hour of their time. They're making a decision within really the first 12 seconds if they're going to keep listening and if they're going to continue to listen. So I said, if I'm really going to help people and impact people, let me do the hard work of curating my message in a way to get it down to, 5 minutes or less. So my episodes were, kind of 10 minutes or less, but usually around that 5-minute mark. And that was kind of my first go around with quote unquote short form content. And then TikTok really challenged me as a communicator, as a content creator, to go even further into editing, curating, doing the hard work and the heavy lifting of getting to the point for my audience with 60-second pieces of content. And so it's really been a journey of, breaking through false assumptions about myself, about the way that the digital landscape is working, getting over the dread, turning dread into delight, especially when it comes to, oh my gosh, 60 seconds. What can somebody learn in 60 seconds? And then you get upset because you're like, why are people's attention spans so short these days? It shouldn't be that way. And maybe it shouldn't be that way, but we have to meet people where they are in order to bring them up to a better place. And so where a lot of people are right now in their busy lives and their busy schedules is time is becoming scarce for a lot of people. And so why don't we serve them in a way where we meet them, give them some helpful content, valuable content, add value to their lives, start a connection, start a conversation, and then invite them into your deeper offerings. And so that's what I've been doing, experimenting with and finding a lot of success in.
Wow, that's amazing. And so you stepped into TikTok, right? You started doing this thing.
Yeah.
Where are you at now with this short form content? What has happened since then? Was it overnight growth? Was it slow growth? Where's the account at now?
Yeah. So it wasn't overnight growth, but what happened was I got better and better at my creative reps, is what I call them, showing up daily, which I really recommend people who are starting off with short form content, try to post daily because it builds something in you, not just building your account. So we have a tendency to quit things too soon. And I've had a mentor, Allie Worthington, who has helped me kind of break through. And she's like, give everything at least 90 days. Because we just want to quit. Oh, that didn't work. I only got 2 likes, or no views at all. How embarrassing. But give it time. What you're going to do is you're going to build your own creative process of learning to do something new, building that muscle. But also you're going to be working with an algorithm that rewards consistency. And so, any of these platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, they want people to stay on their platforms. And what helps people stay on their platforms are consistent content creators. And so they're going to reward consistency. If you show up daily and you're telling the algorithm, hey, you can count on me to be serving up content. And then as engagement flows in, comments and likes and shares, and you're engaging back, you're also telling the algorithm that you're an engaging content creator. People like what you're sharing, and they're going to give you more priority over time. And so it wasn't like an overnight success, but just enough to be like, this is interesting, that people were actually watching and liking, that anyone was watching and liking something that wasn't a dance video on TikTok blew me away, because that's what I thought it was, right? So I was breaking through all of those assumptions as I was walking out and trying new things. It quickly became my fastest growing social media platform out of Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. TikTok became my fastest growing account. And right now I have 73,000 followers on TikTok. But I passed a really fun milestone just this week, and that I hit 1 million likes on my content.
Awesome.
So that was pretty exciting. So that's where it is today.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. I would love to know, Lindsay, like you were talking about consistency, giving something 90 days, and like these platforms like want to reward those who are producing content where people are checking in and like every day, I want to know what Lindsay has to say. What did producing content look like for you in the beginning, and what does it look like now? Like, I know you said every day, but are you batching things? Like, I know you're a mama and you guys have, I mean, everybody listening, you know, we are so inundated with doing different things in our lives. How do you schedule things out? Like, what have you found that works with you? Because I know for me, like with certain platforms, I have to schedule things out. And you are reminding me even right now, like the consistency piece is key. So how do you do that well?
So I'll tell you my process, because I think batching is the best thing to do. But to be quite honest, I have been horrible at it in this season of my life. So you mentioned my daughter's 17 months old, and I am figuring it out. We are learning a new rhythm, a new routine, and the phases are changing so quickly that my routine and my rhythm have to do that as well. So
Totally.
What I have done from the beginning with TikTok is I have taken those longer episodes that I mentioned before, like the 5-minute episodes that I was doing, and we've cut up like clips from those episodes into 60-second clips. And that's what's made it possible. I've just recently started experimenting with some like fresh stuff, like me just jumping on and talking for 60 minutes or 60 seconds. And that has gone well as well. It's just that's a creative rep that I have to build now. And so we experimented with it, and I said, okay, I think this is valuable. But I need to figure out a process and build my creative rep into that. So right now, what I'm doing a majority of is cutting up those longer episodes, because when I started, this is crazy and I don't recommend it for anyone, but when I started my video podcast, I was doing that daily. So I was doing Monday through Friday. So not 7 days a week, but 5 days a week. I was doing like an episode that was 10 minutes or less every single day.
Wow.
And that was before I had Hannah, my daughter. So there was a little bit more room for me to do that. So I've cut back on that now. I do like a weekly longer format episode, but I had this library of content. And again, I'm really passionate about leveraging things. So I wanted to upcycle that content, which you can do. So maybe people are listening here and they're like, oh, I've had a YouTube channel and I have these longer episodes. Like you could try to, clip those up. Or if you're like, I don't have time to even find the clip, edit it, but I know what the big idea is, just pick up your phone and record that 60-second clip again. So that's a way that you can kind of leverage things that you've done in the past to start being able to have daily short form content.
I know, one, I think pushback or hesitation we get from our world, because a lot of people come to Rainmakers, we help them build these Amazon brands, which can be totally faceless, right? Like you don't have to attach your personhood to that product, but you can. And some people do. Some people build the brand, they put their face on it, they're on Instagram and all the things. Some people are completely faceless, That being said, what do you see works well on TikTok specifically? And for the person who's maybe hesitant to talk about their product or hesitant to talk about their brand on a platform like that, what would you say to them? I know you guys do TikTok coaching specifically, so I'm sure you see that your people they're very hesitant to be like, wait, me? I have to be the one going and saying it. So what have you seen? Are there ways to do it without being on there? Or would you encourage people, hey, it is time to get on there and go do it?
Yeah, I'm sure there's ways, but what I've experienced time and time again is people love connecting with people. before they're connecting with a product, before they're connecting with a company or an organization, they want to connect with a person. And that's why I think something like TikTok does so well, because you feel as though you're connecting with that person. I mean, the world is changing in such a rapid way. Like my career began in marketing. So advertising, building products, building companies, but there's something about when there's a face to the brand that, people are longing for that type of connection. And I would encourage people, this is coming from someone who's an introvert, who I tried all the things, guys. I tried the blog, I tried the audio podcast. Like I tried so many things that did not go anywhere. And it wasn't until I showed up and showed my face, shared parts of my story, connected with the people, like the people that I felt called to reach. And I just focused in on them. I didn't worry about who I wasn't called to reach. So often, and I think this is the reason a lot of people like to stay hidden, is because they're catering to the people who aren't actually their who. Because they're thinking, well, I don't want the criticism. I don't want the, the bad comments. And so, because it's vulnerable. It feels exposing, right? But we often keep the people who are not called to reach from us reaching who we are called to reach. And I had to break all of those barriers too. So that would be my advice, is get your face on camera and start connecting. It's not just about informing people. It's about interacting with people that I think brings, conversation brings conversion in my experience. And we have to be willing to make ourselves available to have that conversation.
That's so good. Conversation
brings conversion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many people have probably heard that, the truth will set you free. Well, actually what that scripture says is knowing the truth will set you free. And that word that for knowing is not head knowledge. It actually is talking about heart knowledge. It's talking about having an experience with truth. So you think about this from a business standpoint, from a brand standpoint, from a product standpoint. So often our advertising is about trying to inform people of why our product will be transformation, instead of interacting with people and showing them the transformation. And for many small business owners, the transformation started with us, right? Like we were transformed by something. We were transformed by using a product or the knowledge we're sharing in our course that we're trying to sell, or the transformation happened with us. And it's our story and its interaction with us that is going to create an experience that's going to invite people in to have the same transformation.
Wow.
That's so good.
What would you recommend? So we probably have some listeners, right, who are like, oh, I know I've been wanting to do TikTok. I know there's opportunity there. I mean, we do a lot of e-commerce. E-commerce is really blowing up on TikTok right now specifically. I feel like 2 years ago, no one would buy off TikTok. Like it was kind of like there was a traffic on the platform, but not a lot of off it TikTok traffic. Now we're seeing a lot of advertisers and a lot of e-commerce people, a lot of influencer marketing happening on TikTok, where there is a lot of traffic going off TikTok, where it's like going to a business, it's going to Amazon, it's like hashtags like, TikTok made me buy this, right? And like a lot of people buying stuff just off TikTok. And so for someone who's like, I know there's opportunity there. I know I have some words to say, to these people, right? That my product is called to serve, right? Or like I'm called to serve through my business. What are some like good like first steps? Tiptoeing into the TikTok waters, like what would you recommend? And maybe what are some like beginner mistakes to avoid too? Like where it's just like, hey, let's save you guys some pain. Like, I don't know if you like in the startup journey of your TikTok, if you're like, I would never do that again, if there's anything like that, we like to just try to compress people's time. So what would you say?
Well, I think a big mistake that a lot of business owners make is they think that their product is for everyone. They're like, oh, this could help anyone. It's such a great product or such a great service, but that's just not true. So I like to give credit where credit is due. Another business mentor of mine, Pedro Deo, really helped me with this. And again, I had a history as a marketer, so I understood, you have an avatar, you have kind of this audience, but he really went precise with telling me, you are not called to reach the whole world. You're called to reach your world. And that's where your focus needs to be. And it just gave me such permission, again, not to focus on trying to reach everyone and be all things to all people. And the same applies for showing up on social media with your content, with what you're sharing, is you got to know who you're talking to. And it can't be everyone. There's too many people out there. There's 1.2 billion users on TikTok. And what's going to get you through kind of cutting through all the noise and the oversaturation is showing up and speaking specifically to the person you feel called to reach and you feel like your product's going to serve best. And so think about this. So I don't know, I mean, maybe you guys can throw out something if there's like a popular type of product or type of product that your Rainmakers, sell.
I mean, like, I think a lot of people go into like hobbies, right? So it's like someone gets into bread making, right? And so they're selling all these bread making accessories on Amazon, right? So usually it's something like that where it's like a hobby, or it's like for a very specific type of person, like they're into this thing or that thing, or homeschooling their kids. So you could choose any kind of like niche that people would buy products in. So let's just say it's bread
that
making.
makes it even easier, right? Because that's like easy to niche into. So your content on TikTok, you want to focus on not selling, not promoting. Put that away just put it on the shelf for just a second and focus on bringing value. A big mistake people make is they want to go viral. And viral is not the goal. Value is always the goal. If you show up consistently giving value, there's a good chance you're going to go viral. But if you focus on going viral, you're going to spend time on trends. Maybe, guys, I got to 73,000 followers without one single dance. And there's nothing wrong with dancing, because sometimes that your like laughing, that's valuable, right? Like that's medicinal. Like, so humor and everything like that, it's not wrong. It just wasn't me. So I wasn't going to have TikTok change who I am. Like, that's just not who I am. And it's not how I show up and serve my who. So it might be how you serve your who, and you might find fun ways to take the trends and speak directly to your who, but is it bringing value to them? And sometimes a laugh or just like camaraderie, like, oh yeah, me too. Like, that's value, right? It doesn't always have to be like a 6-step something, but don't get preoccupied with trying to go viral. Oftentimes going viral is not good for business, because you reach, say, 1 million people with a viral video, but those people aren't necessarily your who. Like, it's hitting their news feed or someone shared it with them because like, oh, this made me laugh, but it's not bringing them back to you to discover more of who you are and what it is you offer. So that's why value is important, because if it's something that's valuable to your who and then it goes viral, your who will self-identify. This is for me. You don't have to tell them that. You don't have to like beg them to come and check out your profile. You can simply invite them, because they're going to know this person sees me. They know me. They understand my struggle, and they have answers to the questions that I've been asking in my head and my heart, and they have solutions for the problems that I need help solving. So that's what I would say, as far as when you think about what do I even talk about? What should my reels and my, TikTok and all that be? It should be adding value to your specific who.
That's awesome. And for products, right? It doesn't have to be, oh, I have to show my product in every.
No. So like, say it's bread making. So what would be valuable to somebody getting into bread making? Like maybe some beginner things. And because it's only 60 seconds, focus on one big idea, right? Like maybe it's one hack that has helped, cut down your bake time. Or maybe it is showing off how the tool is helping, your baking. You can tell I don't bake, but it's helping your process, right? Like, you can show it off, but what it's not is like getting on and just talking about the product. Think about showing them something of value that's going to help them in their journey. And that's what you just do that over and over again. And the best way to like think about, well, where do I even start? Think about who you used to be. Like, how did this, like, where were you before your transformation? Like, what were some of the questions that you had about baking, some of the problems you were trying to solve, some of the things that you ran into? Like, help accelerate somebody else's journey by teaching them what to do, what not to do, how to do something better. And they began connecting with you and interacting with you over the shared interest of bread baking. And then, every once in a while, you can say, hey, by the way, I have this product. But it doesn't need to be every single, video. And you can set up your profile in a way where people, if they jump on their profile, they know immediately what you're about, and you can link to things. Like, there's creative ways of doing it, but you don't have to get over. It's not about like selling someone on something. It's about adding value to them first. When you do that over and over again, you build trust, right? And then it's like, it doesn't matter what you're offering. They trust you in this area. Like, man, this is an expert. So if they're saying that this tool is helpful, or, hey, I want to know what they're using here, like, people will make that connection.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm just like noticing, like I've only bought a couple things off of like an Instagram reel or TikTok, but one recently was I bought like a hair product. Okay. Like this,
Oh yeah.
and maybe women listening are like, I do this all the time. But for me, like me to buy some random hair product on the internet, like that's pretty rare, But how I found this thing was not through someone just saying, oh, wow, look at this hair product. It wasn't through an ad. It was through a barber. There's like these barbers on like TikTok and Instagram who literally just like they just like film their engagement with the customer. The customer like, I want this, and they show the before and after. And so I got sucked into some Instagram reel. I was like watching through these things, like, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. I've never heard someone talk this way about hair. And then I clicked on his profile, boom, there's a link to his store and his hair like product thing, And so like for me to do that, right? Not off an ad, not off anything, it came all from that value. Like I was entertained by the videos, but then there was like some value in there. I was like, oh wow, like I'll remember that next time I go get a haircut. Like I'll say that, like
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of guys that don't know how to like talk about our hair, like what do I really want? And so this guy was offering value to his market, which was men, right? His product was very like it's all black and like like it's very masculine, but he
Men who
spoke
care
to
about their
women,
hair,
right? Yeah, right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's not like I care about my hair that much. I wear a hat pretty much every other day. But when I do know that there's levels to this game. And when I heard him talking about it, I was like, wow, maybe there's some stuff, when I do not wear a hat, it could go a lot better for me. And so I just share that as a personal example of like how this guy's not sharing his product at all. He's just talking about what he knows about,
Yeah.
So if you do have a product that you know about it, or I know some people in our world, they sell products that like they have no idea. Like we had someone the other day sell like a fantasy football product, and it like she had no idea about football or anything. She just saw the data, saw the opportunity, went after it. So in that case, like there are ways still to share about your thing. It doesn't always have to be you. But I feel like one thing you can do is connect something deeper to your brand. Like this is something we've talked about on this podcast before a little bit. But sometimes there's like a through line between your products that like you can connect to any product, right? So like I forget what book it was talking about this, but they're talking about like those blue blocker glasses, right? And how like there's a company that was selling those, and then they try to, I think, sell more versions of that same glasses, and it wasn't allowing them to really scale. But when they connected like that, their mission was not about just like cool glasses. It was actually about sleep. It was about good sleep.
That's awesome.
Then they were able to add all these different products that had that through line of like, we help you achieve the best sleep. So the glasses were just one of the things, but then they could sell pillows and like, cooling mattresses and like all of these things that increased like how they could serve their people, but they had that through line. So then their TikTok doesn't have to be about glasses. It can be about sleep, right? So sometimes in the physical product space, it's hard to like attach a thing to it. But if you think about like, what is like the root kind of result, what this product gets someone, is it connection with their kids? Is it, more efficiency or more like time, in their life? Like, what is that thing you can connect through the products? And then you can make a TikTok about that because it's going to attract someone who's attracted to that thing. And that's naturally going to roll over to your business. So I just say that because I know there are some people like, my product, I don't know, like I can't just talk about this thing on TikTok specifically, but maybe there's like an underlying thing that the TikTok or the Reels or whatever channel it is could be about. So I don't know, you've worked with a lot of students. Have you seen any creative uses for TikTok like that, where it's kind of like they talk about one thing, but they sell another thing on the back end?
Yeah, no, a lot of my students are faith-based content creators. So they have kind of very specific, it's not so much business, but I have seen businesses go, really like going to the root cause of like, what are people's deepest desire? And I would say people's deepest desire at the end of the day is transformation, especially if they're, especially when they're on their screens. Like we go to our screens to disconnect, to disengage, to like find some space, whether that's healthy or not, that's usually. And so meeting people in a space where you're able to touch their heart or their deep desire is some kind of transformation. So again, go back to bread baking, like the deeper level of that is health, right? And people want to be healthy, but it seems often like, and often, I think about busy moms, for instance. Again, this depends on who your who is, but like they want to serve healthy food to their family, but they don't think they have the time. So like start helping them discover ways of where they can create time and space to do the thing that they didn't think they would be able to do, which is transform their family's health through food. And like, it doesn't always have to be about bread. You can see where that would expand some things that you could talk about. But at the core level, it's like, there's people who are coming to my channel for this reason. And it allows you as a content creator, and I mean that as like a business owner who's creating content even, to stay like to be focused so that you're not getting pulled to and fro with all the latest trends and, oh, we have to talk about this. The big switch for me, like at the very like beginning of like, am I going to really do this, or is this going to be another thing that falls flat on its face, like my blog and my other podcasts? And was I had to make the switch of being a consumer to being a creator. And so I couldn't look at social media anymore as a means to entertain me or inform me and tell me what's important to talk about. As a creator, you come in with a different mindset, which is I initiate. Like, I talk about what I think is important to talk about, because I'm not from a selfish means, but from I'm here to serve this specific who. So I'm going to speak about what I think my who. And I know this sounds really deep and you're like, I'm just trying to sell bread baking products, but really, this mindset will help you not get pulled to and fro to a point of you don't feel like you can keep up anymore, right? We saw this happen with Instagram recently. So Instagram announced that they were going to give priority to Reels. People were irate, especially long-term content creators on Instagram who started on Instagram because it was about photos and everything. But like, times they are a-changing. So what's unfortunate is I think a lot of content creators took that as like a slap in the face, and they quit Instagram and I'm not doing this anymore and all this stuff, instead of saying, you know what, I'm a creator. So if this is what the space is offering, because I don't own Instagram, I'm just renting this space, I'm leveraging it for what I feel like I'm called to do with my business or my ministry. I'm going to come in and I'm not going to feel like Instagram is making me do a dance. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not diminishing anyone who's dancing on TikTok. I have been entertained and transformed by people who dance on TikTok, truly, because it has brought so much joy to my life. But you know, people thought Instagram was telling them what to do. And now I have to do silly dances and I'm a serious content creator. No. You just show up and you use the space in a way that still makes sense to you and your brand. So all that to say, you don't have to like make something up. If what it is that brings you joy about your business is the product itself, like I'm going back to bread baking because that's the example we use. Like, you're like, I don't want to necessarily be an expert nutritionist now for people's health. I'm not telling you have to. So many people think, well, I'm not an expert enough to talk about things. Just talk about where you've been and where you are now. Like, you speak to your own transformation when it comes to baking. Like, what is it about baking that has brought you joy? Like, you can talk about that over and over again. You do not have to be afraid to be repetitive, because again, the way that short form content works is it's there and then it's gone. So like, there are even like, I'm reposting things in a different angle because I'm like, it hasn't reached everyone yet, right? It hasn't reached all of my who. So you don't even have to be afraid of like repeating yourself, but just showing up every day with a piece of content that's going to add value to your who in a way that feels authentic to you. Like, I am not trying to, so part of my podcast is faith-based. Like, I am not trying to show up and be a biblical scholar, like, and have all the answers to everyone's question about the Bible, right? What I'm doing is I'm showing up and I'm sharing my story, connected, like how faith has transformed my life in a certain area of my life. And I'm sharing about that over and over and over again, and encouraging my who, and sharing value and being a consistent voice in that space. And it's authentic because I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. And so no matter what your product is, just allow yourself the permission to think deeply about it and about that point of transformation, and speak to that space over and over again. That will add incredible value to people, because what's no longer profound to you because you've walked the journey is extremely profound to people who have yet to walk that journey and need to walk that journey. So just because it's not like snazzy and trendy and profound to you doesn't mean it's not going to be profound to somebody else.
I feel like, Lindsay, you just set a lot of people free, myself included, because I definitely on our TikTok, like, to be totally transparent, like I have someone come over weekly to help me with TikTok. Like she films it, and I have people that help with prompts, because right now, like I feel like I don't have the capacity to just like figuring it all out. And sometimes it is very like organic and everything, but I feel like this alone, and I've, the longer I'm doing it, the more I try and put like my own spin on it, or like, instead of like the trendy dance, like I'm going to be really goofy and wear these glasses so that I look a little less silly than I feel, you know, or whatever it is. But I feel like you just set people free in the fact that like what feels like, you know, like, oh yeah, everybody knows this, like is actually can be really profound to other people. So I love that you touched on that. And then I think I would love to like end, Lindsay, with just, I know that you talked about like, I can't look at social media as like a consumer, but more as a creator. Like, how do you have like, do you set a timer each day where you're checking in with certain platforms so that we don't get like sucked in? Or what does that look like for you, like on a weekly basis?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, to the best of my ability in the season that I'm in, what I like to do is create like a 90-minute. I just feel like deep work can't happen less than 90 minutes. So, I like to, if I can, set a 90-minute space in my calendar each week that I can work on content. I can, think about it. And it's not, if you can, and I can't right now in the season of my life, to be honest, but if you can, I like to separate like creating content versus commenting back, interacting, because it just becomes very muddled. But I'm unable to do that right now. So you have to get essential sometimes in seasons, right? I'm sure you guys have talked about this many times with your Rainmakers of like, what is essential? So essential is content creation. Secondary right now is me commenting back on every single comment. Like that's just not possible for the season of life. And because my accounts continue to grow, like more and more comments come in. So like, it's just a lot. So comments are secondary, and I do that as I can. And I don't do it every day, because that's like, you can't be on call, right? Like I'm no one's doctor. I'm no one's therapist. Like I'm not on call with my social media. So at least once a week, I like to, and if I don't get to all the comments, that just in this season of life, I have to let that, go. But because what I've found has still grown my channel versus just commenting and interacting with every stuff is showing up consistently with content. So that's key. So that's what I spend. Like I try to, if there's, I make a space in my weekly calendar, and that is a meeting I don't break. So it's not like, oh, well, this came up and I'll just put it back off later. Like I treat it like it's a meeting with a client. Like I'm not going to cancel on a client because this, unless it's an emergency. So I'm not going to cancel on me. Too many business owners are willing to cancel on themselves, and they don't cancel on anyone else. And that will hurt your business. It will hurt you internally, but it will also hurt your business. So I don't cancel on myself. We create space in my weekly calendar. And at least for 90 minutes, I spend time focusing on creating content with all the things we just talked about. What's bringing value? What are some questions I'm getting in my comments over and over again? What are things that people are citing as far as problems that I can help them solve? That's kind of how I spend my time. And then I will say, as a hack, so as of this point, I don't run any of my TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I now pay someone to do that for me. I've delegated that, which has been really freeing. So I'm not having to post the content every single day. I have someone that does that for me. And I'm kind of able to do that because I've created some monetization, not thousands of dollars, guys, like a couple $100s through YouTube. So now I can pay someone to do that. So that's, you want to be thinking about these things. What can I delegate? What's tripping me up over time that's keeping me from being consistent? And what can I do that only I can do? And in the beginning, you might be doing it all, and that's okay. Just build in a way where that I'm not going to be doing this the next 10 years. So how do I begin to like delegate? So because of that, I don't have TikTok on my phone, because I now have someone, which is huge, because again, it's very easy when I want to disengage, numb my emotions, escape from the world, to pull up my phone. Like that's how I just know that's something about me that I have to be aware of. Maybe a lot of people feel that as well. So removing that app from my phone. And if I show up like on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, I kind of make a rule for myself to like limit my time. Like sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to spend 5 minutes. And sometimes it's like, I'm going to just scroll through the first couple posts and engage with people. Because I like to sow engagement into like what my friends are doing, for instance. Like I just believe in the principle of sowing and reaping. But I'm not consuming for hours. I'm going in there as a creator saying I'm going to create engagement in some of my friends' stuff. I don't get to everyone. That hurts my heart sometimes. I want everyone to get likes from me. All my friends, I want them to know that I cheer them on, but that's going to take 2 hours of my time. So I just get on and, like I'm going to go through the first 5 posts that pull up on my screen, and I'm going to create some engagement. I'm going to sow some engagement in other accounts because I want to reap engagement, not just from those friends, but just, what I'm saying, like I want to be a cheerleader for people. And I can't just expect to be completely absent from social media, but I'm not getting on there as a consumer anymore. I'm not scrolling for hours. I'm not getting on there without intention. And that's what makes you a creator.
That's good.
So good.
Awesome.
And it's hard, but it's good.
Just last night I told Steve, I'm like, I need to give you my phone at night right now because I've been going back to it as like this scrolling thing, and it's not been great in my life. And like other seasons I've been really good about it, but recently I have not. And I'm just like, this is not good for me. So that's what we've done.
Yeah. I mean, especially as a young mom, because that was like a lot of my adult interaction.
Yeah.
Was getting on, social media. And so it got a little bit out of hand because I wasn't getting out, especially when my daughter was a newborn, I wasn't getting out as much. And I was like, this is how I'm connecting. And that's okay. Yeah. Like you got to know yourself. You got to know your seasons, and there's no shame or blame. Like,
totally.
But there is wisdom, and there's an everyday, I start every day fresh. So if I screw it up yesterday, I'm not going to bring that negativity into today saying, well, man, I scrolled for an hour yesterday and I'm, and I guess I just got to continue no, it's like, okay, I'm starting fresh. And these are, because that happened, what are some guardrails I can put up? So you mentioned, hey, Steven, take my phone. I have a tech bedtime with, my husband helps me like keep my tech bedtime. Like, and there's been times where I'm like, but I'm Marco Poloing, I haven't been able to get back to Ashley today. And he's like, it's your tech bedtime. Like you've asked me to help you. And it's, I get better sleep. So it's worth it.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man, I love this. It's so fun to hang out with you, Lindsay. Where can our listeners go if they just want to like connect more with you or just see some of your content? Like what is the best way that people can follow along?
Yeah. So if you go to lindsayvanzyl.com, LINDSAYVANZYL.com. That will give you kind of a showcase of all the different things that I'm doing in business and in ministry. And just, if you're sitting here as a business owner and you're like, I just want to see what this looks like go look at it. You can find ways to apply it to what you're doing. But that's a great place to go and kind of see all the things that I've been talking about today.
Awesome. Love that. Well, make sure to go follow Lindsay, see what she's up to. As always, Lindsay, thank you for sharing with us more about like your TikTok journey, what is working, how people can be consistent. We just so appreciate you.
Thank you guys for having me. It's always a joy.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rainmaker Family Show. Hey, if you are not a part of our Rainmaker Mastermind, we have a new opportunity for you to book a one-on-one strategy call with one of our Rainmaker coaches.
If you want to get a call with them, see if it's a good fit for you to work with us to build a business that allows you to have time freedom and financial freedom, you can get that call at makeItRainMama.com/podcast. That's makeItRainMama, MOMMA.com/podcast.